in here, that's a lot of eyelashes and those kinds of extra variations in color there. There's a darkness there, and that's what we'll try to get. And I'm paying attention to the wetness of this. I want it to be a little bit drier. Again, going a little ways past, just a little bit. And I think I'll also move up into the upper area, paying attention to where the darks are. Just getting the paper to adjust with some water, clear water. So it soaks in. Again, this is hot press, so it won't have much texture. We're going to have to make that ourselves. All right, looks good, you guys. Bringing this out. So I'm paying attention to where the darks are and the light right there. I'll avoid that. I could also go across. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go up into the eyelashes there. This is getting drier. The way I check is I lean to the side and take a look. So I would tip it up and look. You can see it's still wet. I'm looking at the iris, but it's soaking in. So now I'm going to go choose my blue. This is more of a lighter blue in the center, so I'm going to use that as my base color. And this gets darker out here. It's sort of a bluish gray. So I'll probably add some reds into that. And I'm just going to go over here to my, excuse me, my palette here, which is just a small coaster. And I'll just mix this together, get it on my brush. Probably in a little more than tea consistency. So if you think of tea, coffee, so I'm going to go just sort of touch my brush around the edge, just go all the way around the edge and let the water pull the paint. It'll give it a beautiful pattern. Now I can see that's too bright compared to her, I think it's her eye. But if that goes to the center, it'll get closer to the color of her eye. So we'll coax it up there, but not by brushing, just basically by tapping. We'll get more dark color in there on the outside. Again, paying attention to where the whites are. Looks like the paint dried up here a little bit. Paying attention to where the whites are. I might have said darks. If you look at an eye, underneath the eyelid, where the eyelid covers the iris, it's always darker right in here. You see that? So let's pull this in, get it closer to the center. Trying to keep some lighter colors in between, just sort of let them touch here and there. Okay, and now while this is still wet, I'm going to come back and mix some other color. I think I'll use, like I said, maybe some red in there. See how it's getting closer to that color? A reddish purple. Maybe a touch of green. That's too much of a touch. That was phthalo green and it's pretty strong. So now I'm going to have to try to hurry here before that dries. Okay, just a touch of you. Hopefully I don't do it again. All right, let's see if we can get that going. So I'm going on the edge here, where it's the darkest. Stay away from the very outside edge. Let it drift out there by itself. Just sort of manage like this. Again, remember I said it's darker through here, so we can bring it down lower. Coax it down a smidgen, just use the tip of the brush. There's going to be a couple little flecks in areas where this has come up into it, so it's okay to do that. Looks a little bright. We can tone it down. Looks like it's fairly dark down here at the bottom. I added some burnt sienna into that to get it a little darker still, a little more neutral. My paper is starting to dry, so I'm going to have to stop here soon. Once it gets to a certain stage of drying, you can't keep pushing it. It's a hot day today, so in fact, I'm starting to sweat a little bit. Still touching it, not painting, letting the water do the work. The water and the paint work together. Okay. Rinse the brush, and I'll let that sit. I don't want to bother it anymore. I'm going to add another clear water wash down under here. It's already had some soaking into it. I can go past what I see. Again, just observing closely, paying attention, watching where the whites are. There's a lighter area here. So let's just get the paint or get the paper wet. Move on over here. I see some color here. This whole area from here to here, do you see that? It curves. So we're going to go for some skin color. Let that sit again. Paying attention to the eye up there. After it dries a little more, I'll come back in with the golden color that's around the pupil. So let's mix the color here. I've got my burnt sienna. I'm going to mix it with some yellow. Maybe some Indian yellow. That looks a little too brown, so I'll pick up some red. Again, we're just going to tap it in here. Let the paint move. Paying attention to see if it's similar to the color. Looks like it gets redder up under here, closest to this lighter. And it also looks like it's getting yellower out here. So I'll stick with the darker up in here, tapping it, letting it flow. I'll mix a little more red in there to go up underneath, and I'm going to skip a bit. See right here where there's a little red or white there? I'm looking at this part right here, these little dots of white. So I'm going to skip and go with a little deeper color up near the eyelashes. It's good not to think of them as body parts, just think of them as areas. So I'll just say up in that area, tapping so that I can have some whites in between. We'll come back in with the darker of the eyelash. So we're still tapping, and I am looking at this. I'll come back to that. Come all the way down here. I'm rinsing off my brush, then drying my brush, coming out here, pressing down so that I can get that where it looks more like the shape of an eye. Excuse me, an eyelid. And again, it's coming all the way over here. I might have missed some of the drying area. I mean, it might have dried a little too much. So let's go, I'm going to add some yellow, more yellow into that. I thought it looked a little more yellow. Back with the burnt sienna and a little more yellow. See how it gets warmer over there? So colors on the face, they shift, even though we assume they're all just one peachy color. You can see how it shifts if you look closely and observe. We'll bring it all the way up to this point there. And then it gets redder right in here. Clear water on my brush, press down. Okay, so this brush is a Jean Haynes brush. It's a sable brush. I use sable brushes a lot, but you don't need to. They're not critical. Probably the most critical part is the paper. This is a hot press paper by Arches. I typically use a different kind of hot press. I usually use Stonehenge or Fabriano Artistico. Okay, so now I'm looking again. Where am I going to go? Because we're going to move from place to place wherever it's not wet. Okay, so let's go back up into the eyelid area. It's very dark up there. And that's where I'm going right there. And I'm going to use the same colors because I'll probably layer it. I'm going right here. I see a line and then another line here. These are more peachy colors. This is more dark. Am I in the right place here? Oh, that's sort of the eyelid. Okay, so this is the darker area right there. So I'm right in there. We can just paint right to that whiter line. I think that's the line I said was about there, to the whitest area of the eyelid. Okay, let's see what this is going to do. Again, it looks like it goes all the way around here. That shape looks like, kind of like half a lemon or something. So think of it in terms of shapes. Try to simplify it. Watercolor takes lots of patience and often layers. Sometimes you can get away with not doing layers, but for the most part it's layers. So let's go back to the same color. I started with the burnt sienna, which is right there, and I mixed it with some of this translucent orange, and I also brought in some red. So we will try to keep the colors similar since that is the same eye on top and bottom. This is the darkest dark right in here. So we'll just lay that down. I wet past this area because it's okay to drift up there. You can see the color it continues up, the dark, and then it continues up. I'm going to add a little red there for interest at the top. Whoops. I think that red is a what color would that be? It looks like maybe it's alizarin crimson. And just go ahead and tap, pull it down, following the shape. I see it looks like it gets a little more orange over in that area. So let's go, that's the color I see, a little more orangey. And I'm going to go ahead and go down with it. We're going to kind of meet here. This is a little bit lighter, so I want to go into more yellow. Tap around there. We're still wet over here, so we're fine. This sort of gets a grayish blue, like right in there. You see that? A grayish blue. So I'm going to go pick this color up that we used on the eyeball. We're just going to sort of, again, tap in there. That should mix in with the flesh color and be fine. I also see that same color right here. Do you see it right there? Okay, let's go back to the fleshy color, which was the burnt sienna mixed with some translucent orange, maybe a bit of yellow and red. I'm observing right here, and I think we're going to go more the orangey. All the way over. Oops, I think I covered some of the white. Let's see if I can lift it up a little bit. It's not bad. Watercolor, you can pretty much correct everything until you scrub the heck out of it, and then it's the goner. Okay, so we're going on up in here. There's getting to be a hard edge up here, and I don't want that. It's a face. So I'm going to use my side of my brush to add some water to it. All the way up. This color up in here, if we get to it, is really pale, more of a yellowish peach. Let's go really pale. Let's just go tinted, just a tint. All the way up and cover the eyebrow area, because there's skin underneath the eyebrows. So we'll just go up there and get a really pale tint. Come on down to here. Now that's a bigger area, so I would switch to a bigger brush. And we'll just kind of meet down here in the top of the darkest area, or the medium area right here. We're going to meet down there. Okay, now I'm just studying the eye, and I'm looking right here. This gets pretty red. Do you see that gets pretty red right in there? So we'll go back to burnt sienna, switch out of my brush. If you want to know what size brush to use, match where you're working. Use the biggest that you can where you're working. That way you're not doing little tiny dabs of paint. It gets too splotchy. I added some red into that. And I like the orange because that looks pretty orangey red. I'm not adding water because there's more of a sharp edge here. I'm working on the corner of the eye right there. And it's not quite red enough. I'll do some cadmium red. That's a bit red, right? See if we can adjust that. To burnt sienna. It's okay, we'll be able to use it, I imagine. Okay, right in here, the corner of the eye. Whoops, let's move that up. See the corner of the eye right there? Let's get some dark in there. Pay attention to the whites, moving all the way up. Right under the eyelid, and let's see if we get closer. So it's darker here, and then there's a little lighter area than the eyelashes. So let's leave that lighter area for later. It's still not quite red enough, so that cad red is going to be coming in handy. Yep. Okay, we'll keep going. The iris should be mostly dry, so I think we'll be fine coming through here. And if not, we'll fix it. Okay, so it looks like this is the eyelashes, this is the eyelid. Pretty dark through there, so we're going to touch right next to the iris. And continue on. Just go ahead and drag it out here. A little redder. Okay, let's take a peek at what we've got. It's coming around. It's still wet, so we're gonna wait. That's a really pale color here. We'll go ahead and get to that. We don't have anything wet touching it. It's kind of a yellow, and if you look, you can see how it goes white, then a stripe, and then yellow. White, and then a little stripe and yellow. I'm going to move up into the yellow, right here. Right next to the eyeball, the iris. Using the tip of the brush. Now if you look really closely, can you see how there's a really close white next to the eyeball? Right there. I'm going to leave that. So I'm going to go under that. And stay on that line. That line's going to get darker. You can see it's a lot darker, but that gives me something to go by. Okay, so fleshy here. Kind of go by into this area. Okay, I'm going to get a little more red because I see it becoming red with a little more orange in it. Right in here, come on through. Okay, remember that pale wash that we had? Just sort of tinted water right here. They look pretty similar. See the two? So let's come down here with that. All the way down here with the really pale tinted water, fleshy colors. There's a lot of blue in skin and green. You just have to look closely. Like, can you see that is blue? I can see blue there, which I used. So this won't look as completely realistic, but it's going to look somewhat realistic. It looks to me like this. See where I stopped here? With that, I need to go further with my darker color, so I'll do that now. Burnt sienna, pretty heavy on the burnt sienna. Right there, that's where I'm going, is right there. I'll just tap the brush. Let it run down. It's kind of reddish purple here, I think. So I'm going to get a little purple. Mix it with the burnt sienna. Tiny bit of cad red. Look, our cad red disappeared. Right there. I don't know what kind of purple that was. Just a purple that's on there. So let's tap that in there. A little redder. Just in areas, not everywhere. Because you can see it just sort of goes here, just a few areas. Let it come down a little bit, let it go up a little bit. And while I have that on my brush, I'm looking to see if there's any other areas that have that kind of similar color, and I don't really see it. We'll come down a little more with it. I need this to drift a little more. Darker here, see that area is darker, and lighter here. And just follow the shape and the value and you'll be fine. Watercolor dries lighter. going to try to coax that down so that we don't have a hard edge. Put this back down there now. All right. Using the side of the brush to kind of lift that up. And I see more of a yellowish color here. So let's go back to the yellow. And we'll bring it here and cover that lower lid. I'm not sure if that's called a lid. I don't know what that's called. The area that catches light on the lower part. Again, there's light, speaking of light, there's light that's in between. The wrinkles kind of catch. Do you see that? There's lights, there's specks of light. So don't cover it like entirely. Try to be aware of that. And that'll make your eyes seem more realistic. Okay, and since I didn't put water down when I did this line, I can go over it right now. And I can see that's a real dark line. It's really fine though. So I'm going to go down to a smaller brush. Okay, here's one. Rinse it and dry it. So I'll get a thicker paint. When you do detail, you can go thicker paint. That's what that's for. So I'm going to mix purple and blue. I don't even know what kind of that is. It could be phthalo. It could be a different blue. I don't know what that is. Sorry. But I'm just looking for a dark color. So I'll just follow that because that's what the photo's telling me to do. It's darker at the edge, so we'll do thicker paint. I've added some burnt sienna to it. And just touching it. It's kind of a random, it's not like one stripy line. And then I'm going to rinse my brush, go more for a grayish color, because it gets grayer right here. If you look, it gets grayer. Still avoiding the iris because there's a line, there's a bit of white between the eye. And then as I get over to the other side, I'm going to go into more of the burnt sienna color. Still with the grayish blue, but more into the burnt sienna because it gets a more warmer color. Just since I have that blue color on there, I'm going to go up here and touch a few places there. Okay. I'm going to get some of this cad red and exaggerate it here in the corner of the eye. Come down here. This is where there's a lot of water in the eye that shows, so we want to be careful with it. I think I'll come back and pick up the burnt sienna and keep the red near it, and then I see some whites that I'll leave, and it gets darker here again. I'll go back with some cad red. Just following the shapes, observing what this shape is. Can you see how white that is and how pale that is? And it's darker, so that shape, that's what I'm following. I'm going to hit burnt sienna again, so it makes that line under the eyelid. We'll go into some peachy peach color here. Same colors I've been using all along, just a little bit lighter. And just get a little water on the brush and try to coax this out so it looks a little more watery. Paying attention to those brightest whites there. That'll make your eye look like it's wet and shiny. There are probably more sharp edges there, so you don't have to worry so much about the fading. Sorry, I'm focused right now. Okay, so my red looks a little too red. Come in with a little more of a yellow to pull that down. And then I see I've got a sharp edge there, so what I want to do is get it now while it's a little bit damp to smear out there a little bit, so I have a little flat brush that scrubs a little bit. Soften that up. And we'll leave that alone and see what we get. And you need to squint here and there to see the different shapes here. This looks, see how much darker that is than what I have there? It's way darker. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of the burnt sienna, a little bit of the orange with it, just our same colors, and give it another little bit of a layer. That looks like a really good color for coming up here, so I might as well do it. It's fun to watch people paint. I like to watch people paint. I think a little red. Got a little too orange. And there's a corner here. Now if you look at the white of the eye, there's a lot of blue right here. Do you see that blue? So I see yellowish here and then blue here. So this little area of yellow is sort of coming out. I'm not going to do anything with the veins. I mean, if I squint, they mostly go away, so I won't worry about those. Right now I'm going to come in with water and come around the pupil. And it goes clear out here. If you look, it goes completely around, but this is blocking it. But we have to pretend it's not there, even though we leave it. We can cover the pupil because it's just going to go to black, 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 right? So it's okay to cover it. So a favorite color of mine is quinacridone gold, and I think that would look good with some burnt sienna again. So we're going to use both of those colors. And we're going to start right out here at the pupil, right at the edge of the pupil, and let it drift. Go all the way to where the white is. That reflection. Okay, just let it do its thing. It's going to drift out. Now that's not dark enough, so we're going to come in, let it sit for a minute or two, but those flecks, I see those flecks of brown in there. See right in here and here? Some flecks of brown. It's also a little greenish looking. But we're just going to put a few dots, tiny little dots, where we think they should go. Don't space them evenly, and don't make them the same size. Just pay attention to what the eye kind of is doing. And they're going to spread out because the paint or the paper is wet. Rinse the brush. Hello?
Hello, dear.
Hi, how's it going?
Okay, just walking the dog.
Yeah? Good?
You remember how I made the path from the gate to the gate, 2 years ago? Mowed it.
Oh yeah, down at the bottom.
And it seemed like we saw a ton more deer. I'm thinking, well, maybe they don't like to go, maybe that's
Maybe they want
to us.
Yeah, maybe they want a clear path.
So I mowed a lap.
Uh-huh.
So I got one from the gate down by the dentist's house
Uh-huh.
to that gate. I already mowed that. Now I mowed from our gate to the other gate, and then I made a complete lap. One width wide.
Uh-huh.
And so I just went on my walk, and McGinnis ran down our guy on that path, and he ran one whole lap.
He did?
Yeah, he stayed on the mowed part the whole time.
Well, he was happy then.
Yeah.
Well, that's cute.
I just finished it a little while ago, so you imagine what wants to be some animals on there and stuff,
Yeah, especially those big cats, probably.
Yeah. Oh man. I'm gonna get a game camera, a good one,
Yeah.
The ones we had.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna buy one.
Yeah.
Stick it at the bottom of the hill, right at the corner of the path.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just start seeing it. We can check that once in a while. We'll see if we'll see any mountain lions. So,
Yeah.
because if they're gonna come around, they'll come. That's where they'll do that path. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, good.
I think I'm gonna order through the. I'll find out here maybe tonight.
Okay.
Anyway, so steps about 5 o'clock. She'll have her stuff done.
Okay.
And then.
You still planning to come in and mow or?
I can weed.
What?
I got a weed eater in the motor in the back. Okay. So,
Okay.
and then I didn't know if are they comfortable enough with me coming in. I've been pretty isolated.
Well, you're the one that's making that choice. You know.
You said you were going to talk to them.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
I still think you're the one making the choice.
Well, no, I said, and you said, well, I'll see if they're comfortable. I'll talk to them, and you never got back to me.
Oh, well, yesterday, you made the choice though, right? Just to leave.
Well, yeah, but that's the conversation we had. So I just.
Well, because you didn't have your sushi. I said, well, just come in and eat, and you just were like, no.
Oh.
But
well,
anyway.
So yeah.
I think they leave it up to what you feel on comfort. I really do. I mean, because you know what you've been exposed to. How can they say, right?
I don't know if they've been exposed to anything. No, I mean, their dad's been, having no contact with him. He came on, Wednesday morning?
Right.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's only 4 days, but he seems fine. So,
yeah.
But whatever you think. So.
No, I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I mean, I think it's.
Well, I want to make sure they're fine with it because I want them to make the decision, not me. That's what
But listen, they can't make a decision. You have to know. I mean, they're going to go by what you say. If you feel comfortable, you know what I mean? It's true. They're going to say, well, if you know, like I said, if anything, what you've been exposed to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that if you say that you feel like you're safe, they'd be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, well.
So that's what I say. That's the only thing I can say is that. So.
Come here, dogs. Sure looks
So,
nice around here.
yeah, I bet.
Tom's been working on the lower road below the fence that
Yeah.
between our fence and the Harper fence, where it was all little debris and stuff along the edge. He's been cleaning that out real good. So.
Our fence and the Harper fence?
Yeah, you know how there's the driveway that if you just, before you turn up the hill, you just keep going straight.
Yeah.
On the gravel.
Yeah.
So the one part's good. So he's all along the edge of that fence. There was just mounds of dirt and debris and chunks of wood and
Yeah,
so
where we had the old yeah. Our old wood pile. The Harpers the Harpers are the next door neighbors with the dogs.
The next, if you go on our driveway, as soon as you go up the hill, you can keep going straight onto gravel.
Yeah.
Like where Stephanie runs. At the end of that road, there's all kinds of chunks of wood and everything.
Uh-huh.
So he's cleaning all that out. So,
yeah.
And then all along the edge of the fence, all the way there. You'll be able to tell. It's a big difference. So.
Yeah. Nice.
He's just been taking it and dumping it over towards the swamp. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good.
Guinness! His tongue just out. He's had a good walk.
I'll bet. He's been having...
All right, well, I'm going to... I'll come in and plan on eating.
Okay, good.
If any hesitation at all on their part, let me know. So,
okay. Like I said, I know that they're just going to go with whatever you're comfortable with.
I've been non-contact. The closest contact I got is Tom and I loaded the lawnmower in the back of the truck together.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's completely, I know it'll be completely your call because they only went by what you said in the first place.
Yeah. Well, mine was more on your dad. After he's been there for 5 or 6 days, I'm going to take the sheets down too, so I can use the laundry and all that. So.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
The dogs they've been. I think I'm taking over your spot here a little bit. McGinnis, you're all wet. Here, get back.
I'm sure you will.
Come on, dogs. Let's start making our trip back.
Yeah.
He gets so dirty on these walks. It's crazy.
I know. He's so happy.
Yeah. If I spent probably one full day weed eating right now,
yeah,
I think I could probably be absolutely caught up. But I've never, ever had it all done,
Yeah.
Because by the time I get something done, there's more. And he's plowing down in the field again. He just loves it out there.
Oh, Harper's Field?
Yeah, he went off where the trail is where the deer come up.
Yeah.
The sticker there.
Yeah.
Over the hill he went.
That's so cute.
Are you having fun, McGinnis? He said, I smell something.
That's so cute.
Anyway. All right. So then I'll plan on coming in around 5.
Okay, what time is it now? Oh, well, it's 10.
4:45.
Yeah, I was going to say it's 10 till right now, so any minute.
Well, I'm just going to walk back, and Stephanie wants some to-go containers. I'm going to bring them down to her. She's going to fill them up, and I'll come in. Do you need anything else? Just have that card and the pen and the...
We're going to need, what card?
The card that lady gave you. With the
pen. Yeah. I'm going to need some more paper, too. Like some more
parchment?
No, watercolor paper.
Oh.
Yeah. And I can tell you where that is.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's like those full sheets.
Okay.
In that big drawer,
Yeah.
So anyway, you have to just get once you're in there, you're not there now, so there's no reason to tell you.
Right.
So
are you going to, once everything's, we're still quarantined and isolated, you could always come home for a little while too.
Oh yeah. Well, and once we feel like that, once I have this stuff here, it makes it hard.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? That's the only hard thing, is to not have the stuff I need.
Yeah.
I can have a lot of it there, but I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
There's 3 dogs. There's 4. Who am I missing? Camo! There he comes.
To go chase after Tom again?
A little bit. He's definitely he definitely likes Tom a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Here, McGinnis.
I hear him, yeah.
McGinnis, what are you doing? Let me see what's on your side. Come here. What's on your side? What is that? There's a big old burr. Funny.
That's cute.
All right. Well, then I'll let you know when I'm on my way,
Okay.
or I'll let you tell me what papers to get. So.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, they're in the bottom drawer. There's,
I'll just
once you're there, it'll be easier for me to tell you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll call you in a bit. Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Hi.
Okay.
So in
Hey,
the
Stephanie.
huh?
Yeah, Stephanie's calling. So what is it that you have down?
Oh, go ahead. Do you want to answer that first?
All right, hold on.
Okay. Hi.
Well, it didn't work. So what do you want me to grab here on the papers?
It didn't work?
No, I'm saying I tried to put you on hold.
Oh.
I hung up on you.
Well, that's okay.
Anyway, so what paper do you want? In the bottom drawer's got archives and our arches, and then the green stuff that says cold press. So,
Okay, so the bottom drawer, yeah, that's
different drawer.
they're full sheets. Do you see those big full sheets? They're the
Well, it says arches on it, covered in plastic.
yeah, it's like big, right?
Well, yeah, I mean it's in a plastic thing. It's probably I don't know 20 by something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's 22 by 30. So that's the one I want, and then also there's one above it that I want. I mean, it's in the
It says
drawer.
arches. It does have a size on there. It says 22 by 30. Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the one above it, what do you want?
The drawer above it is a cold or another it's a hot press paper. And it's
Size, hot press, yeah.
what is it? What is it? What brand does it say?
It says watercolor, Fab Riano.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then there's this
And there's something underneath it that's just wrapped in plastic.
yeah, just grab me, that's fine. The one that you just have right there is fine.
Stonehenge.
Yeah, Stonehenge, if you can get all those Stonehenge, all of them, then that would be good. I mean, you can take sheets out. I don't need like the whole. I'm not going to do all of it.
How many sheets do you want? I mean, I can come in all the time, but I got.
I mean, if it's sometimes it's easier to carry. It's easier to carry it in a pack like that because it's less easy to bend.
So you just want each pack then?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I probably might send some back with you, but if you want to take them out, you can. But
No.
okay.
We just need one package, or do you want me to get like 2 or 3?
Here, hold on. I gotta try to put you on speaker. It won't keeps turning you off speaker. Are you there?
Yeah.
Don't know why. Okay. So yeah, I do want. I don't know for sure what I want, but I mean, I can always send them back to you. So if you bring one pack of each, that would be good. I mean,
Artisco cotton, 100% cotton.
yeah, all of them. There's that one, and then the Stonehenge, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if not, you can tell me to get more too. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you bring all of them, then I can always send them back with you. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'm bringing a bunch. Okay. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye, honey. Hello? Hi. What?
Your mom's not dumb. Like she's got some couple just came out to bring her stuff. You know, they drove up to the house and they get out and they're not wearing masks or nothing and they're walking over to see her. And it's like, how often does that happen? You know, I mean, what's wrong with her?
What'd you tell her?
I didn't say anything. I was getting my pickup and leave. It's like,
Well, did she know they were coming?
yeah. I go, can I help you? Because I go, oh. She goes, yo, I certainly knows I'm coming. I'm bringing the stuff out to her. And it was, you know, some old lady and an old man.
Oh,
And I
probably.
was like,
Yeah, they're probably bringing. Huh?
yeah, we don't know where they've been or what.
No,
I mean,
no, I'm not. I'm not. I am not. I am not.
sick and
You.
tired of being on social distances because they're too dumb to know what's going on anyway. All
No,
right.
no. Is that? Do you want me to say something?
No, just let me know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll visit tonight, but then I'm not going to do anything now because those people have been to the house.
What?
I'll be back on 5 days again since those people have been to the house.
Well, you haven't seen Mom.
Well, no, but I mean, they're out there. So I mean, I'll keep the sheets up again, but that's what I'm saying. I'm going to take the sheets down and be. Anyway. All right, I'm picking up dinner. I'll come in a little later. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay. Bye.